Hello and welcome to Educational Tutorials. Today I'll give you a little insight about Python and programming around it. This will be to anyone who's new to Python and has no idea what they're doing and just wants to learn how to program step by step. And so I'll be creating some videos showing a few basic functions you can use and methods to help you learn and gain a fundamental and nice understanding about Python and programming. So first, make sure you have Python installed. I'll put a link in the description for a website which you can install it from. And so we'll first open up Python and you'll get this. Now you can program on this too, but anything you put here won't save. So I don't recommend using this unless you just want to like test one line of code or something. So what I recommend is first click File, and click New File, and this thing comes up, and you can code in this. Now, when you code in this, it's going to ask you to save, and you can save it to your desktop, whatever your file, whatever you want to save it in. But it will be saved, so you can look at it later and see what you've done. So it's a lot better to do everything in here than in here, and you can close this because you don't need it anymore. So first, I'll be talking about hashtags because, well, they're not really too big of a deal, but they're useful and nice. So when you have a hashtag, it's basically just a comment which the program just skips over because it's not looked upon as it's the code. It's just something so you can comment, and I'll just be playing introduction. So basically, the program will completely ignore this because it's after the hashtag. So today I'll be teaching you how to output information on Python, and this is used by the print function, which I will explain. And so the print function is when you want to display something. In this case, instead of display, call it print, so you print it in front of the user or the person like me, not the programmer. So you'll start off by typing in print. You can see it's purple, its function. So you type in print, put in a bracket, and then once you have your bracket, you put in what you want to print, but in quotations. Now I'll get to that in a moment. So let's say you want to print my dog is fluffy. I don't know, whatever you want. Now, you have to put these around quotations, and I'll get to that. So basically there are three kinds of types in Python. They're called strings, integers, and floats. Now a string is just characters, like my dog is fluffy. They're all characters. An integer is an integer, a number, a whole number, like 1, -1, 0, 10, -10. Well, not whole numbers, they're integers, but yeah. And floats are decimals, like 2.9, 3.2, 6.7, 120.9, I don't know, a decimal. Now, when you're talking about a string, which is like a series, like a sentence, a letter, you have to put it in quotations or the program isn't going to understand what you're telling it to do. Now, when you put in print, quotation marks, my dog is fluffy, and end it with quotation marks, it will display this to the user, and that's what you're telling the program to do. So, now, when you want to run this, you click Run, and you click Run Module. You can also hit your keyboard F5. It's a lot faster. It's what I normally use. And so, I haven't saved this yet, so I'll save this in my desktop, call it output intro, I guess, and it displays my dog is fluffy here, you can see. So that's because that's what I asked it to do. If I said my favorite food is pizza, it will display my favorite food is pizza. Now what happens if you don't have these quotation marks? See, so I got rid of them, and I'll just put it, and it's like error. That's because it's a string, and for a string to work you need quotations around it. But when you want to print an integer like a number, like 35 I guess, you just run it and you can see that it prints 35 right here, right under it, because I wrote it under it. So when the program runs, it runs the first line, then the second line, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and so on and so forth. So it goes in order. Although this is called line 2, which you can see over here where my mouse is. Sorry, line 3, and this is line 4. But like it runs in order. So you can see that I said print 35 and 35 came, but I didn't need quotations. This is because 35 is an integer and the print function realizes, oh, this is an integer, so you don't need quotations. If you put quotations, it would still work, but it would be classified as a string. Now, to find out what something is classified, you can write print bracket type, another bracket, and then whatever your thing is. So let's say my dog. So then I'd close this and I'd close this and I would run it, and it would say class string because there are quotation marks around it. That's what it means. Now let's say I do this and I put in 35 and I decide to run that. I would get class int. Int means integer. So it's telling me that this is an integer because it recognizes this is a number. Now let's say I put in 35.7. That's a float. It says class float. That's what it is. So this is how you can figure out what type it is if you want. And you can print a float too. 35.7. And you get 35.7 here, as you can see. So this is a string, this is an integer, and this is a float. And this is how you can find out if it's a float or an integer or a string if you're not sure what it is. Anything around quotations is a string, no matter what it is. It can be a number, it can be whatever you want. Anything in quotations will be put as a string. If there are no quotations, you need it to be an integer or float to work, because if you put in, let's say, tree in here, it won't run, it won't work. This will run because the program will first run this and it'll be like, okay, this works, but then it's like, wait, what? You want to print tree, but it doesn't know how to do that. Like, you need to have it in quotations. So yeah, so now to put in quotations, now it's a string and it will be printed. So that's all for today, and I hope you've learned and enjoyed this video and you understand how to use the output, how to output information using the print function, and bye.